We are going to continue talking about progress monitoring this week, but we're going to shift our attention from functional skills to academic progress monitoring. We know that there's a lot of value and importance in academic progress monitoring. We know that tracking academic IEP goals is of paramount importance for several reasons. One of those reasons is accountability. Progress monitoring holds us as educators or any other stakeholders, administrators, anybody else in the educational system accountable for meeting the needs of students with disabilities. It ensures that the goals outlined in the IEP are being actively addressed and that progress is being made toward achieving them. It's also important for individualized instruction. By tracking goal progress, us as teachers can tailor instructional approaches in order to meet the specific learning needs of the students we have in class. We can identify areas of strengths, areas that require additional support, and it allows for targeted interventions and differentiated instruction. It's also important for data-driven decision making. Regular progress monitoring provides valuable data that informs instructional decisions. Educators, we can analyze trends, identify patterns, we can make evidence-based adjustments to our teaching strategies in order to maximize student growth and success. It's important for collaboration and communication. Progress monitoring facilitates effective collaboration among teachers, support staffs, parents, and sharing progress data during our IEP meetings fosters meaningful discussions about a student's academic development, and it allows for collaborative goal setting and the alignment of supports across our different settings. It's important for motivation and self-efficacy. Monitoring progress helps students themselves recognize their own growth, build self-efficacy, and maintain that motivation. Clear evidence along the way can also boost students' confidence, right? It can inspire perseverance and it can reinforce the value of the effort they put forth. And ultimately, there's also legal compliance, right? Accurate and consistent progress tracking ensures compliance with legal requirements such as IDEA, and schools must demonstrate that students are receiving a free, appropriate public education, and that progress is being documented and addressed. So we know academic goal progress is essential for accountability, and we know individualized instruction and data-driven collaboration, all of those things empower educators to provide targeted supports that enable students with disabilities to reach their full potential. But how do we get there? We know we talked about functional skills and the different types of data tracking, but we also know that all of our data tracking has to do with high quality IEP goals. We know that high quality IEP goals in the IEP outline the way that we are going to meet the unique needs of our individual students. And we know that they do that through a couple different lenses. One is personalized learning. IEP goals are customized to address the specific learning needs and challenges of each student. They take into account the student's strengths, weaknesses, and learning styles, and they ensure that instruction is tailored to their individual requirements. But they also are clear objectives. They're smart, right? They're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time bound. They provide clear objectives that guide instruction and help track progress. And these goals focus on what we're going to talk about this week, academic, but also what we talked about previously with behavioral and functional areas as well. They also have progress monitoring embedded. They provide a framework for progress monitoring, and they set measurable objectives that we can use to track student advancement and adjust our instructional strategies as needed. Regular progress monitoring, we're going to talk about it, ensures that students are making progress towards those goals. And finally, they provide accountability and legal compliance. This is mandated by IDEA to ensure that students with disabilities receive that free, appropriate public education. And these goals that we're going to talk about help hold educators and educational institutions accountable for meeting the needs of students with disabilities. So let's talk about what good goals look like. In the world of special education, SMART goals are something that we talk about a lot. Setting SMART goals is essential for effective goal planning and attainable. So let's talk about the different parts of those. The first part is specific, clarity, and focus. So, by providing clarity and focus and clearly defining what students need to achieve, we're going to eliminate ambiguity and we're going to ensure that everybody involved understands the specific objective and the expected outcomes. The M stands for measurable. Measurable aspect of SMART goals enables progress tracking. By establishing concrete criteria for success, it becomes much easier to monitor and evaluate progress. Measurable goals allow for data driven decision making and they help to determine if desirable results are being achieved. Talk about achieved, the attainability, right? Or achievability. SMART goals emphasize setting goals that are realistic and attainable. They consider the available resources, the skills, the time frame, and by setting achievable goals, individuals and teams are much more likely to stay motivated, maintain momentum, and experience a sense of accomplishment. The R stands for relevance. SMART goals are relevant and they're aligned with broader objectives, whether they are personal, educational, or organizational. They ensure that goals are meaningful, that they contribute to larger aspirations, and that they're in line with individuals' or organizations' vision and values. And finally, they're time bound. The time bound nature of SMART goals sets clear deadlines and creates a sense of urgency. This helps individuals prioritize tasks, manage time effectively, and stay on track. Time bound goals provide a sense of structure and they help prevent procrastination. So, by setting SMART goals, our hope and our organizational hope is to enhance students' ability to plan effectively, to measure progress, to stay focused, and to achieve desired outcomes. So, SMART goals provide this framework that promotes clarity and accountability and success across the various contests. However, goals by themselves are not the end all be all. Let's talk about the concept that James Clear makes in his book when he talks about it's not just setting a good goal that sets us up to making or achieving that goal. He says that oftentimes successful people and unsuccessful people, they have the same goals. So it's not always about the goal. You need a great goal. And in education, we need a goal that we can track, but it's also about what we're going to do in order to accomplish that goal. So he says that one of the most important things that you can do when you're setting a goal is also to plan for the beginning of implementation of that goal. And we're going to talk about that this week when we talk about academic progress monitoring. And one of the ways that you can do that is to create a standards-based IEP goal. Standards-based goals are designed to align with both state standards and the individual needs of students. So here's an explanation of how you might do that. You're going to look at the state standards first. We have academic standards that outline the knowledge and skills that students are required or expected to acquire at each grade level or specific subject areas. Our goals are developed in consideration of these state standards in order to ensure that students with disabilities have appropriate opportunity to work towards these grade level expectations. And our goals need to be tailored to address these specific areas. So when we craft our goals to align with these relevant state standards, you're going to notice they're going to be more effective in supporting our students getting on track inside classroom settings. And they ensure that students are making progress towards those standards, albeit with appropriate modifications or adaptations as needed. So we want to make sure that our goals are customized to meet the unique needs of each student. and they take into account, strengths, weaknesses, learning styles, and other things. But the other part of standards-based alignment and goals is to make sure that we also shift them from being task-based goals, a student will do these by this time, to skill-based goals. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. But first, we're going to talk about the progress monitoring aspect. In order to have effective progress monitoring, there involves several essential components that contribute to accurate assessment and informed decision making. So we're going to talk about a couple of these. The first of which is clear and measurable goals. Progress monitoring begins with setting those SMART goals that we talked about. We know that measurable goals provide a baseline for tracking progress and assessing growth over time. We also know there's a data collection component. Collecting accurate and objective data is crucial for providing progress monitoring. Various data collection methods can be used, such as observations, assessments, work samples, but it's important to ensure that data collected is relevant to the specific goals being monitored. We know we need regular and consistent monitoring as well. Progress monitoring should occur on a regular basis and be consistent. So often I fell into this trap as a special educator where they were events, right? Oh, the quarter is ending, I need data. But I had to shift my perspective, as well as many other special educators, to realize that data is not an event. Data is something that we track along the way in order to, make changes on our directions through supporting our students. And regular progress monitoring allows us to track that progress and identify trends and make timely adjustments to our instruction or to our interventions. But once we have data, we need to look at it. It needs to be analyzed to gain meaningful insights. So data analysis involves examining patterns and trends and growth over time, and it helps identify areas of strength and areas that require additional support or intervention. It's this data analysis that really enables us as educators to make informed decisions and adjust instructional strategies based on students' progress or lack of. Another key component of progress monitoring is communication and collaboration. We know that effective progress monitoring involves communication and collaboration among educators, support staff, and parents, as well as students. So sharing progress data and insights with all stakeholders fosters a collaborative approach to addressing the student needs and ensuring alignment across different settings. And finally, progress monitoring includes evidence-based interventions. So if progress monitoring reveals that a student is not making adequate progress, it's important to implement evidence-based interventions. These interventions should be based on best practice, based on research, and they target the specific areas of need identified through progress monitoring. So by incorporating these components, we can effectively monitor student progress and make informed decisions to provide targeted interventions and support the individualized growth and success of each student. But in order to do this, we need some tools. Progress monitoring requires effective tracking tools and methods in order to analyze our data effectively. So here's a couple tracking tools and methods that we may use for progress monitoring. Data collection, sheets, and forms are one of those. These are structured documents that are designed to capture specific data related to the student's progress, and they can include checklists, rating scales, and other formats in order to record observations and assessments or work samples. We know rubrics are another one. A lot of times when we say, oh yeah, they will be successful based on, well, what does that success look like? And rubrics provide a set of criteria or indicators to assess and track progress on a specific skill or domain. They offer this clear framework for evaluating students' performance, and they can be used across various assignments or assessments. Often, as educators, we also have access to curriculum-based measurements, CBMs. These are a method of progress monitoring that involves frequent, brief assessments directly aligned with the curriculum. So this measures a student's progress on a specific academic area, and it provides data to track growth over time. Most often, I've used these as Reading levels or reading rates. A lot of curriculums have things that align with it. These are ones that you use very frequently. Another one would be digital assessment tools. So there's technology-based tools and software that can streamline progress monitoring. These tools often include built-in assessments, so data tracking features and some visual representation of progress. This could be a quiz, this could be data management systems, this could be apps. Sometimes you'll use this as your tracking tool. We talked about this last week. Behavioral tracking tools are another things for progress monitoring related to behavior, functional skills, or social emotional skills. ABC charts might be one of these, the antecedent behavior consequence, or behavior rating scales, daily behavior sheets. These are tools that help document and track behavioral patterns and changes. Then we have work samples and portfolios. Often used less frequently, work samples and portfolios provide tangible evidence of student progress. So these can include written assignments or projects, artwork, recordings, but by collecting and reviewing work samples over time, we can assess growth and identify areas for improvement using this as a tracking tool. Then finally, we have checklists and progress reports. So checklists and progress reports, they offer this simplified way of tracking progress, right? They outline specific skills or goals, and they let us mark a student's progress as they demonstrate mastery or development in each area. Ultimately, it is important to select tracking tools and methods that align with the specific goals and needs of the students we have. And the chosen tools that we choose need to be reliable, they need to be valid, and they need to be easy to use. We all have that story where we've tried to let other people into our tracking tools, and then for whatever reason it either doesn't happen or it's filled out incorrectly. So we want to ensure accurate data collection and facilitating meaningful analysis for informed decision making, but we need a tool that matches up with that need successfully. So when we talk about that, it also brings up this idea of collaboration. And we know that collaboration among teachers or special education teachers and even parents is essential for tracking progress and monitoring progress effectively. And here's why. Number one, there's that holistic understanding. Collaborating allows for a comprehensive understanding of students' progress. When we talk to different stakeholders, teachers, specialists, parents, and we bring together our unique perspective or insights or expertise about our student, we can have a better conversation. By sharing information and observations, we can develop this holistic picture of a student's strengths or challenges or progress across different settings. But it's also important for consistency and alignment. When we have collaboration, it ensures consistency and alignment in tracking and monitoring progress. And when all of our stakeholders work together, we can establish common goals and assessment methods, and we can be on the same page, speaking the same language. It also allows for the sharing of resources or strategies or best practices, right? Teachers can exchange effective instructional techniques or interventions or approaches or tools. Parents can provide valuable insights of the students' learning styles or preferences or home environment, and we can use all this information to inform instruction and our interventions. 4, it also provides us and facilitates early intervention and support. When educators and parents and specialists and stakeholders work together, we can identify signs of academic or behavioral challenges early on. And this allows for timely intervention and targeted support to address the needs of our students before they get to that point that they escalate or impact progress significantly. 5, collaboration supports the development of individualized plans for progress monitoring. So through these joint discussions and meetings, we can, design personalized strategies and accommodations or modifications that meet the student's unique needs. And then 6, collaboration involving parents fosters a sense of partnership and shared responsibility. When parents are actively involved in the progress monitoring, they can support their child's learning at home, and they can reinforce those skills and provide valuable input to inform our instructional decisions. And this strengthens the homeschool connection and really enhances student outcomes. So collaboration is important, and part of collaboration comes with sharing our results. So we know that documenting our progress monitoring results and sharing them during IEP meetings is a significant importance for informed decision making. But here's why it's significant, right? We talk about data-based decision making, sharing progress data or lack thereof, which is probably the more difficult thing to share in these meetings, is important. It's important for individualized planning. It's important for goal setting and adjustments. And it's important for accountability and transparency. It's also important for evidence of having services, right? They serve as evidence for students' ongoing need for specialized services, and by documenting this, it shows that our team is, working towards providing those appropriate services. And it also, finally, sharing results helps with parent involvement and advocacy. So documenting progress and monitoring results and sharing them during IP meetings is vital for informed decision making, and it ensures that data-based decision making supporting all of these different agencies. But data-informed decision making is something that's difficult because it involves all these different key components. Effective progress monitoring, involves employing strategies that ensure accurate assessment and meaningful data and informed decision making. But we have some strategies for success involving progress monitoring. So here is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you what is called a case study. In a case study, I'm going to give you a student who has an individualized education plan, and we are going to use what we know about that student in order to all right, so here is our project. All right, here is our assignment. We are going to look at a case study. And a case study is an example. So I'm going to give you an example of a student. Her name is Emily. She has an individualized education plan. She is 13. She's in the 7th grade. And her goal area is in the area of written expression. I'm going to give you data and information about where Emily currently is. But I want you to do is think about these different parts and the things that we've talked about and what your instinct says as a special education teacher. And we are going to see if we can improve the different parts of her learning